What's going on, everybody? We are testing out this new school webinar thing so I can get these um, live cattle, feeder cattle futures updates to you in video format. And then we're probably also going to share this on my social media pages so we can promote the community with them. But as always, you'll get them here first. You'll be able to watch them here in the community first. So if you're watching this from YouTube or TikTok or wherever you might be seeing it, and you want to see these live, you want to see these, right away, as well as we'll continue posting, the actual quotes in the community right away. If I don't get these out until later in the day, like right now, it's 11:30 at night. I'm just getting it started. It's just the way it is right now. Busy schedule. So I'm going to continue to try to be consistent with these because a lot of people request, YouTube, TikTok, wanted to see these live cattle, feeder cattle, future market price updates, especially with everything we got going on right now. So I want to be consistent with them. But with that being said, if you're not watching these live in the school community, it might be a little bit later before you get them on those other social media platforms. But if you're interested in the AgriSummit community, check it out. Link should be in the description if you're on one of those. If you're in the community already, it's awesome. Let me know. Continue to make this platform better for all of you. So let's get into today's prices. So it was a wild day today. We had a lot of movement again, a lot of stuff in the news. Really just one big thing, but we'll get into that after the prices. So today, October, live cattle closed at 228.82. That is down 492. December live cattle 227.17. That is down 675. February live cattle closed at 224 even. That is down 942. Then we're getting into the feeders. October feeder cattle 345.50. That is down 880. November feeder cattle closed at 338.45. That is down 1375. And then we got January feeder cattle closed at 334.42. That is down 1375. So that gives you an idea. Big down day. Let's look at the feeder cattle index now. I don't have today's, but as of October 24th, that was back up 47 cents, which was 367.55. So it went up. That was last week. We should see what we have that at tomorrow for this week. My guess is it's going to follow those futures a little bit. That being said, some of that's going to be moved off. That feeder cattle index is going to be moved off of actual sales. So if we're looking at cash trade, that's typically on your fat cattle, but cash trade was there was a little 230 in Nebraska. That's $5 to $9 lower, the way it sounds. And so pretty much lower across the board on that sense. A big Oklahoma feeder cattle auction had a little over 3,500, and it was down 30 to 40 for feeder calves. Price action, and feeder calves down 40 to 50. So pretty much lower there. Now, what is a lot of this moving on? As a lot of you probably already know, a lot of it has to do with President Trump talking about buying Argentina beef, and that's got a lot of movement. Now, I made a video on this on my YouTube, and as always, I'm not going to say that I think this is the worst thing in the world. I do understand the concerns and the people that don't like it, and I don't disagree with that. I don't love it either. But my firm belief is that we have to try to control what we can control right now. And I do think to help family operations stay alive, we need to start building, a business, like a profit system on the side of our regular operation. So for me, I have my family's, cow-calf operation that we've always had. I'm trying to incorporate some direct consumer, and I'm doing it small. I'm not taking, a large risk with it. I'm starting with 3 head. And if you watch my YouTube, follow that, and TikTok, you'll see, you'll get to watch through that whole entire process. And I know it's going to be a lot of extra work and there's things, but I do believe that when you do things like that, or maybe you start selling bulls, or maybe you start, selling some other kind of niche market in beef, maybe you start, working with a neighbor where they background and you're going to always sell your calves to them so you can have a little bit more consistent understanding of who's buying your cattle, things like that. Just think differently how you can run your operation. I think that's what's going to ultimately save the family ranches and create a more consistent profitability for you when things like this happen. Because it doesn't matter what the black swan event is, things like this are always going to happen. Even if we have a 10-year run in the cattle market, we're always going to have things like this that come up, especially in the short term. Now, the other thing is it looks like there is going to be a meeting between, the Mexican ag minister sometime in December. So there's talk about, opening up some of that trade with them again. That would obviously extend more beef trade. And then also there was something spoken about, the Brazil thing. So there's obviously a lot of talk around, foreign policy with trade with beef, and it's got a lot of people upset, and I understand that, and I don't disagree. Again, I don't disagree with that, but at the end of the day, I still stand behind, what I truly believe is to save the family operations. We cannot rely on, just selling to the packer or just going to the sale barn and taking market price. That doesn't mean we have to abandon that strategy for a portion of our operation. You can still have a majority of your cattle, sold that way, especially if you got large numbers. Again, I'm starting with 3 head. I'm learning this profit system, and then I plan to scale that up, at least to some extent, to where we have a diversified income, because then we have, hopefully a direct line of consumers who like our beef, and we build a reputation and loyalty with them. So we have some income coming from our beef from this side, and then we can also sell calves another way. And if there's anything else we choose to expand to, I'm going to share it with AgriSummit community first. We're going to talk about that. And we also have things that we haven't even talked about, in this video, but like utilizing your tools that you have. LRP, I know it's a government subsidized program and some people don't like that. Futures options, some people don't like that, but just think about learning these tools so you have them if you need them or if you want to use them. And then let's look about, your cash flows for your operation. As an ag lender, I've seen so many, operations that don't understand a cash flow, or they don't have an ag lender who is good at teaching them those things. And I'm bringing some of that to the table and showing it within the AgriSummit community. And it's something we're going to expand on. Any other programs, any other grants, things like that, we're going to share those things. And you don't have to agree or use all those things. It's just that we're bringing more to the table. So if you want to use them, and at least can find these tools. And last but not least, the AgriSummit community is a community where we can work together. So if you have questions, if you have something that you've tried and it's worked for you, or you have questions about, you can ask the community. It's a paid community, so it's people who are actually invested in their operation, people who want to grow, people who want to scale, people who want to build a business they can pass on to the next generation. That ultimately is why I started the AgriSummit community. If you like my little homemade sign here, I'd like if you give this video a like for that. It's small right now. We're starting small and we're going to grow. We're working on building our digital calving book app. We'll continue adding new features of that as we scale it. But that's the first step, and then add, break-even calculators, tools like that we're continuing to make the community more valuable, and we're continuing to find out what our members want, and bring those tools to the table for them. So at the end of the day, the AgriSummit community, my channel, my social media, it's all about helping the family operations out, because that's really where I'm coming from. I have my background, previously being a broker, previously, and being an ag lender. But at the end of the day, I believe in the family operations, the family ranches, and I want to help make them more profitable and bring back some of these homesteads, these family farms, so that our small town communities are not dying. And if you believe in that, I appreciate the like, subscribe. If you want to see more market updates like this, make sure you are subscribing and share this with your neighbor, share this with some friends, and appreciate y'all. As always, God bless.